The Gulf kingdoms of Bahrain and Kuwait are seeing fresh public outcries against the country's unelected rulers who have been stepping up their crackdowns on dissent for the last 2 years. Calls for more rights and democracy are increasingly met with arrests and brutal force as the conservative monarchs refuse to concede, while the West is accused of turning a blind eye to violations by its key Arab allies, as Lucy Kavanagh reports.
Life in the Gulf used to look like this. But the black gold hidden beneath these sands transformed the Arabian states. From inhospitable deserts came soaring structures of glass and steel, physical testaments to their wealth and power. In a wider region known for its tinderbox tensions, the Gulf monarchies have stood out for their relative stability. And for an oil-dependent West eager for a military stronghold to counter Iran, the Gulf became a strategic oasis. Petrodollars have helped to insulate the Gulf against economic hardships plaguing other states, but not against popular uprisings. Now, the Gulf monarchies as a whole have been struggling to stave off the effects of the Arab Spring with varying degrees of success. Kuwait is largely seen as the most tolerant of the Gulf countries, but the worry is that the trend could be reversed. Activists say that it already has been. Political gatherings of more than 20 people are banned, as are political parties. And when the last opposition-dominated parliament challenged the ruling authorities, it was dismissed. Voting rules were changed to ensure, critics say, a more compliant parliament. Speaking out against the system has landed many activists in jail. As for those who took to the streets to protest,
we were beaten up by the special forces, tear gas, the sound bombs and batons, and after the march, whoever is on the street is just being detained and thrown into jail.
It's a struggle activists in Bahrain are all too familiar with. 3 days after Egypt's former president was ousted from power, protests began in Bahrain. Like the Kuwaitis, they weren't demanding an end to the monarchy, but more representation. Yet a violent crackdown saw a shift in some of those demands.
The protesters never stop. It is a daily in different areas against the regime, against the dictatorship, against the situation. Around 1,500 prisoners. We have every day we have a lot of security forces surrounding the areas, attacking the people, attacking the houses.
As in other Gulf states, the monarchy blames the unrest on a radical minority.
They are hardliners. They want to see regime change. They want to implement their own style of government and impose on the rest of the population of Bahrain a system of government that is totally unacceptable. These demands call for a Westminster-style democracy, a Capitol Hill-style democracy in the Arabian Gulf.
But critics disagree, saying the protesters simply want their governments to listen. And when it comes to violent crackdowns, he says Westminster and Capitol Hill simply turn a blind eye.
We are victims because we live in a country which have oil, so the US and the United States and the UK, they don't care about the people, they don't care about the humanity, they don't care about the Bahraini blood, they care about the oil.
Whether in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, or Kuwait, scenes like this one are becoming increasingly more common. But massive shows of outrage like this one show that the Gulf's oil wealth alone isn't enough to insulate the countries from people taking to the streets and demanding a greater say in their political system. And unless the monarchies show themselves willing to listen, their stability may prove to be a mirage. Lucy Kavanagh, RT, Kuwait.